You ever get the feeling that we've forgotten something? Not something small, not where you left your keys or what you were supposed to say in that meeting. No, something deeper, something ancient. It's that quiet tug in the back of your mind. When you stare at the stars and feel like they're trying to tell you something. Or when you walk through an old museum and your chest tightens, like you've been here before in another life. What if that feeling isn't imagination? What if it's memory? Not yours, but humanity's. Because long before pyramids pierced the desert skies, before Babylon, Greece, or Rome ever dreamed of glory, there was another world. A world that breathed life into everything that came after. A place where we first became human. That world was Sumer. 6,000 years ago, in the land between two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, the first true civilization appeared, the Sumerians. They were not kings and warriors at first. They were survivors. Nomads chasing the rhythm of the rivers, the promise of fertile soil in a world that seemed always to demand something in return. And somewhere in that long struggle to live, they found meaning. They didn't just build cities, they built memory. Uruk, Eridu, Lagash, names that echo like whispers in the dark. They wrote, they measured, they dreamed. They were the first to ask, who are we? Why are we here? What is the purpose of life? And they didn't have our distractions. No screens, no notifications, no noise. Just stars, endless and cold, watching them from above. Maybe that's why they listened so well. The Sumerians did something humanity had never done before. They captured time. They invented writing, cuneiform, wedge-shaped symbols pressed into wet clay. Think about that. For the first time in human history, a thought could outlive its thinker. A child could one day read the dreams of their ancestors. A civilization could build upon what came before, instead of starting over again and again. Writing made humanity immortal. But the Sumerians didn't stop there. They divided hours, created calendars, mapped the heavens. They gave structure to chaos. And maybe that's why we still chase productivity, still measure our worth by what we can control. Because deep down, we're still Sumerian, still trying to make sense of time before it runs out. The Sumerians didn't separate religion from life. To them, the gods were everywhere. The wind was Enlil, the earth Ki, the sky An. They believed humans were created to serve, to work the soil, to build the temples, to feed the divine. But if you look closely, you'll see something extraordinary. In their stories, their myths, their prayers, you can feel a quiet rebellion. Take the Epic of Gilgamesh, the oldest surviving story in the world. A king who has everything, power, fame, wealth, but loses the one thing that makes him human, his friend. And in that loss, he confronts his own mortality. He travels across the world searching for eternal life, only to learn the cruel truth. We are not meant to live forever. We are meant to remember. Doesn't that sound like us? Building, posting, recording, trying to leave something behind before we vanish. We are still writing in clay, only now our tablets glow in the dark. But with progress came a shadow. In the cities of Sumer, inequality was born. Kings ruled from towering ziggurats, while farmers broke their backs in the heat. They invented debt, the first contracts, the first hierarchies, the first wars for resources. It's strange, isn't it? We think we're modern, advanced, but the same patterns play out millennia later. We just replace temple taxes with credit scores, priests with algorithms, kings with corporations. The Sumerians taught us how to live together, but also how to forget each other. And maybe that's the paradox of civilization itself, that every step forward carves another scar in the human heart. No civilization lasts forever. The rivers that once gave life began to betray them. Salty soil, droughts, wars between city-states. Their gods grew silent, their stories faded into dust. By 2000 BCE, Sumer had fallen. The first civilization, forgotten by the very species it had birthed. Yet even in their disappearance, they left fingerprints everywhere. Every law, every city, every written word carries a piece of Sumer's soul. We live in the ruins of their imagination. So why should we care about a people long dead, whose language none of us speak, whose gods none of us pray to? Because the story of Sumer is our reflection, an echo of our own beginnings. We think we've evolved, but in truth, we are walking the same path. Inventing, destroying, remembering, forgetting. And maybe that's the real untold truth of the Sumerians. They were not the first civilization. They were the first us. When you look at your phone, when you chase meaning in a world of noise, when you wonder what your legacy will be, you are doing what they did, reaching for eternity with mortal hands. So the next time you feel that tug, that strange, wordless nostalgia, remember, it isn't the past calling to you. It's the beginning, the first spark of consciousness, the first civilization, the first time humanity dared to remember itself. And somewhere, deep in the dust of time, the Sumerians are still watching, wondering if we've finally learned what it means to be alive.